Over the course of Christmas, we're going to hear a lot of quotes from Isaiah. Although he wrote 700 years before Jesus was born, of all the Old Testament prophets, he has the most to say about Jesus, and he says it in wonderfully evocative and poetic language. So, for example, in Isaiah 9, he describes Jesus, amongst other things, as the Prince of Peace. And then 2 chapters later, he gives us an image to help us understand that peace. And it's a wonderfully bucolic, pastoral image. He says that the peace is so profound, it's like the enemies of nature have started to live in harmony. We're told in the New Testament that God's peace is beyond our understanding. And so we often have to resort to merely negative terms to describe it. We say that it's an absence of bad things. It's when there will be no war, an end to fighting, a ceasing of turmoil. But Isaiah gives us something more positive. He tells us what God's peace is and not just what it isn't. So in Isaiah chapter 11, he writes this: "The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a child will lead them." Around Christmas, when we think of Jesus as a child, it's tempting to think that the child in this image from Isaiah is Jesus, but there's nothing to suggest that. It's merely a wonderfully poetic description of a peace that has security, safety, harmony, and tranquility. And this is the peace that Isaiah associates with our Prince of Peace. And then at the start of chapter 12, we get this. He says, "In that day," that's the one he's just described, "you will say, 'I will praise you, O Lord. Although you were angry with me, your anger has turned away and you have comforted me.'" Once again, Isaiah gives us a positive where we might otherwise expect just the absence of a negative. It's not just that Jesus died to take away God's anger, the anger that we deserve, but he gives us something too. He gives us comfort. When we turn to Jesus, we are not just spared the negative, we're promised the positive. Isaiah tells us so much about Jesus that we could all find something different that would be fresh and inspiring. The aspects that I'd like us to think about today are that Isaiah reminds us that the peace that we can find in Jesus is far more than the absence of conflict. It tastes of safety, it smells of security, it sounds like harmony. And the life that we can access through Jesus is so much more than the removal of the consequences of our mistakes. He comes not just to take away our sin, but to give us comfort. Remember, the King James Version for John 14:26 describes the Holy Spirit as our comforter, God's gift to us. So Isaiah reminds us that Jesus doesn't just come to take away our sin, he comes to give us peace and comfort too. The two things perhaps to ponder today then are, how can we describe to ourselves the peace of God in positive terms? Challenge yourself to come up with ways to think of positive descriptions of the peace that God gives us, and then to share that with other people. Thank you.